Hi friends, I'm Emily Rossen, the Administrative Assistant at Olivet. Happy Easter! This coming Sunday is the third Sunday of Easter, and the Gospel reading for this week is from Luke 24:13 through 35. And just a quick summary of that reading. It's the story of the two men walking to Emmaus, and they are talking, trying to process the events. They're still in shock, probably, and trying to figure out what happened and then what are they going to do now. And as they're walking, a stranger approaches them. They think he's a stranger, it's Jesus, but they don't recognize him. And Jesus, I think, sees that they're in deep conversation, and he wants to know what's going on. And I think they must have looked at him like he had three heads, because it sounds like they couldn't believe that there could be anybody in the vicinity. He didn't realize what had been going on. But they tell him, they give an account, and then he starts to remind them of all that had happened from Moses and the prophets to that moment, that this was what had to happen. And even though they don't know him, they still don't recognize that he's Jesus. They feel so drawn to him that they don't want him to leave. So they ask him to stay with them, and he agrees. And they go to have a meal. Jesus takes the bread, blesses it, breaks it, gives it to them. And in that moment, the light bulb goes off. So they recognize him for who he is. And at that same moment that they recognize who they've been walking and talking with all this time, Jesus disappears. And I feel for the two men in that moment. And I wonder if they must have felt like they really missed out not recognizing him. And I don't know that they know that they weren't meant to, that there were holy forces keeping them from recognizing him. But I also think about how many times have I been so caught up in my own confusion and dilemmas that I don't sense that Jesus is with me right then. And I have nothing like their excuse. But I feel like I am definitely blinded to the blessings around me in times of growing despair, when I'm confused, when I don't understand what's going on, or when I'm fearful for the future. And I think for a lot of us, that has been an overwhelming feeling in the last months. Those feelings of grieving over things we've missed or lost, worry for the health of a family member, worry about jobs and financial security, and other things non-pandemic related too. I mean, just concern over family members' illness, or any number of things that cause us to get stuck in our own heads. And I've been more aware now than ever how useless time and worry is, because it doesn't change what's happened, and it doesn't help plan for the future. So I also remembered the women's Bible study group at Olivet did a study on Pollyanna some months back, and while I hadn't read the book before, I knew about Pollyanna, that she always, in spite of whatever terrible thing might be happening at the moment, she was able to find something to be glad about. And so I decided my own version of the glad game that she played would be that when I recognize that I'm kind of getting caught in my head in that loop of dread and worry, I'm going to stop and remember the blessings that I'm experiencing in that moment. And not only that, remember that no matter what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, Jesus is right there. If I can let myself recognize him, and I can talk to him and walk with him, and remember whose I am, and not be so fearful. So I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm challenging you. Whatever types of worry you might have, when you feel that you're becoming preoccupied with that worry, if you can stop, breathe, remember, and then name out loud if you can, or if you can't, if you're not in a place where you feel like you can speak them out loud, maybe grab a pencil and write down. Take 30 full seconds and just write down every blessing that you're perceiving in that moment and give thanks. So let's try it. Take a breath.